Hey diamond painting friends, Jessica here with Tiny Worlds of Wonder, stopping in to share my favorite tips for dealing with cover sheets and the different kinds of adhesive that might come on your diamond painting as you're getting started or as you progress on your diamond painting journey. Now, of course, there's a ton about diamond painting that I don't know, so I'm going to call on some of my veterans here who are watching the video. If you notice something that I haven't mentioned in today's video, or you do things a little bit different, we'd love to hear all of your advice down in the comments below. We have a really amazing community of diamond painters, and we'd love to help some people out who are just getting started. If you're a new diamond painter and you notice there's something you have a question about that I haven't covered, please leave that in the comments below, and I know our wonderful community of friends will want to help answer some questions for you as well. Now, this is actually something that I have had a lot of questions about over the last year. How do I section off my diamond painting cover sheets? What's the difference between them? How do I deal with them? Because they're just kind of a pain in the neck sometimes. So we're going to talk about all that today. I hope you guys are having a great week. I hope you're staying cool. If it's roasting where you are, like it is here in the Western US. If you're regulars here on the channel, great to see ya. If it's your first video or your second or third video, welcome. It's great to have you, and I hope you find a lot here to enjoy. Let's dive right in to the first kind of cover sheet you might encounter as you are starting your diamond painting journey. Now, if you're just getting started, this might be a site you're familiar with. So, diamond paintings come in two main types of adhesive. The first is double-sided adhesive, which is basically a two-sided tape, something like this right here. A lovely viewer happened to send me some of a roll of double-sided adhesive, so I can kind of show you. So this is similar to what has been laid down over the printing on this canvas. This canvas and the background image and all the symbols were printed with a giant printer or an ink plotter onto this canvas fabric. And then the manufacturer will come along and lay down strips, obviously wide strips in this case, of double-sided adhesive. So if I were to peel back a little bit of adhesive here and just peel this top cover off, you'll see that what's actually holding your diamonds to the canvas is this thin layer of very, very sticky tape. So the plus side with double-sided adhesive is that it's very sticky. It holds very well. The downside is that as you change positions in your adhesive, you can see as this was rolled, maybe you can see, it develops some lines and rivers. So if you live in a climate like mine that is very hot and dry, your canvases will tend to shrink. Your canvas fabric will shrink and contract, and especially in the summertime, I develop tons of rivers in these double-sided adhesive canvases. Thus, I don't actually purchase many of them anymore because they just don't hold up for me. Now, if I was dealing with the cover sheet on this diamond painting and I wanted to actually start working on this, the best way to work on sections is actually to cut sections out with an X-Acto knife. So what I might do, I'm going to demo this, even though I don't know if I'll ever actually get to this canvas. I guess it's a good demo canvas for that reason. I'm gonna cut just a line down here so that I can peel one section at a time back as I work. Now, I don't do any kind of fancy measuring because I don't really need my sections to be uniform. If it's round, I tend to work in a little bit larger section because rounds are faster for me. If it's square, I might tend to go a little bit smaller. But what I'm gonna do is just with a very gentle hand, come in and just make a slice in this cover sheet going down. And then, it's a little too gentle. And then I can peel back that top sheet and I can work on this section. I always work a little bit into the next section, just a row or two, and kind of stagger my drills down into this area just so I don't get a harsh line of delineation as I go. And then if I pause work for the day, what I do is just fold this back over. Usually I will stick a cover minder, a magnetic cover minder down to hold that in place, especially if I have drills on this section already. And then as I work, I just continue cutting sections. When I finish and I have all the drills on this square of canvas, I just take my scissors and I cut off right here. So then I'll just have the drills with no cover sheet on top. So if I was working on this canvas with double-sided adhesive, that's the procedure I would take for sectioning off my cover sheet. Now, I've always thought managing the cover sheet on double-sided adhesive is actually much easier than managing the cover sheet on poured glue, and that's what I'm going to show you next. All right, it's also really common for diamond paintings to arrive looking like this. This canvas has poured glue because it has a clear cover over the top, and that's how you can tell the difference between the two types of adhesive. This poured glue is really, it's basically a screen printing adhesive, I believe. It might be applied with like a screen printing frame, I've seen that, or it might actually be laid down mechanically by a machine that comes across and sprays the canvas in a particular pattern. I've seen that as well. While I do find clear cover sheets much more difficult to manage, I do prefer them strongly in my climate because as my canvases shrink, my glue does not develop rivers. This example canvas is from Distracted by Diamonds. I stalked Distracted by Diamonds until I could find this. This is called The Violinist by Iyan. This is a 60 by 90 round drill canvas. I adore her. I think she's gorgeous. She's a brand new acquisition for my stash. And I think the way Robin has rendered these flowers, absolutely gorgeous. Whenever I even show you a Distracted by Diamonds canvas, I have to tell you that I work with them on occasion in the area of art licensing, although I did not work on this artist license, and I did purchase this canvas myself. I'll make sure there's a link to Distracted by Diamonds on Etsy in the description below so you guys can stock this canvas too if you'd like. Now let's talk a little bit about how you might manage your clear cover and a few tips for doing so. Now, of course, if you would like to, you can come along, lift up a section of clear cover and just work in that area. You know, put your cover minder, your little magnetic holder up here, and then work in this section. Now the downside to that is that all of the area you're not drilling is really exposed to a lot of cat hair, dirt, the elements. So that's not my preferred method, but it certainly is a choice that's available to you. Another choice that's available to you is to replace this clear cover sheet with something else. So in that case, I could lift my clear cover sheet, come along and put something called release paper over the top. This is available for purchase like on AliExpress. You can find it there, but what you can do is come along and lay these sheets down basically in place of your clear cover sheet. And then as you work, you just remove one of them, drill in that area. I could theoretically replace this whole clear cover sheet with release paper if I wanted to. The downside maybe is that if I ever want to use my clear cover sheet again, I'm going to need to mark which side is the right side. So these clear cover sheets are not reversible, so if I were to flip this over and stick it down, it would stick really hard and I'd have a really hard time getting it off. One trick you could try is just to take a little piece of any kind of tape and stick it somewhere on your clear cover sheet on the top side. That way you know this side is up and you can never get those confused, okay? If you don't have any of these release paper squares, you could also use the backing off of the roll of double-sided adhesive that I just showed you. If I took all the adhesive off the back, I could use that paper as release paper going across. In a pinch, I could also use parchment paper. Now this is where a lot of people have gotten themselves into hot water. So you want to use, in my opinion, the name brand Reynolds Kitchen's parchment paper because this is grease-proof, non-stick on both sides. So it doesn't matter which side I would put down if I were to use this on my diamond painting. So what I could do in this case is cut strips that I could then lay over my adhesive and basically treat this like the double-sided adhesive paper with my X-Acto knife. I could cut sections out of that. I could also just use really long strips so I could cover more real estate at a time. I could cut my parchment paper into rectangles and remove those as I go. So that is an option as well. The thing that people get into trouble with this option is that they sometimes accidentally grab wax paper, which is a bad idea, or they sometimes get a really cheapo brand that's only non-stick on one side. So that's why I recommend like the name brand Reynolds Kitchens parchment paper, because that is truly non-stick on both sides. And as you can see, it releases perfectly. Now, none of the above are actually methods I use. Why, might you ask? Well, here's the reason. A lot of people don't have any issue with using release paper or parchment paper, but the reason this parchment paper or release paper is non-stick is because it has a wax coating. So inherently in a wax coating, you're going to get some residue left behind on your canvas. And I don't want to stick anything to my canvas adhesive that's going to leave any residue behind. This is just my opinion. A lot of people do this. They do it without a problem. It's just that I'm never quite sure how grippy my adhesive is to start with, and I never want to do anything that's going to compromise it. So, while all the methods I just showed you are very legit methods for working with a clear cover, there's actually, in my mind, a very simple, easy, low-cost way that I section off my canvases. It may not be the prettiest solution, but it works for me. Now, you'll see a lot of people putting washi tape across their clear cover. So I have some washi tape here. Washi tape is just acid-free paper crafting tape, and I really love washi tape for laying around the edges of my canvas. You know, if I had a little extra adhesive down at the bottom and I didn't want it to get dirty, I could run a line of washi tape around the edge, not covering any of my symbols. And because it's acid-free, I don't worry about it yellowing my canvas fabric or reacting with my adhesive. So that is where I use washi tape. I just find that if I were to run a line of washi tape over the top of my cover sheet, most of the time I just end up with peeling washi tape, because it just doesn't stick very well. And so I actually prefer something stickier and something less expensive than washi tape for sectioning my top cover sheets. I actually prefer plain old yellow masking tape. Now you can get a roll of masking tape for very little money, and the rolls are huge. And because this is all going in the garbage anyway, I don't want to spend a lot of money on sectioning off my canvas. So my normal procedure is to run horizontal and vertical rows. So the reason I like masking tape is because it sticks down much harder to my cover sheet. It is still possible to get it off, but it's much harder to get off than washi tape, and I don't have the constant peeling up of the washi tape on my cover. Now, like I said, I don't do any kind of measuring or anything like that. What I do is come along and run a more or less even strip of masking tape horizontally. I don't worry too much about going in a straight line or lining up my symbols. If I was going to do this whole canvas, I would run just a bunch of horizontal lines. And because this is a round, I'm going to do a little bit bigger sections. If this was a square, I'd probably do smaller sections. I'm going to aim for, you know, something roughly parallel, but I'm not going to sweat it if it's not perfect, because like I said, all this is going in the garbage eventually. So I would just continue going vertically up my canvas with these horizontal strips like that. And then when I got to the top, what I would do is come along and run some vertical strips. So let's say I want my sections to be about that large. I'm gonna run one right there. Sometimes if I'm sectioning off, I might just do one row or 2 rows instead of the whole canvas. It just depends how I'm feeling that day. These days I find that I typically just do a row at a time because I might want to switch which section of the canvas I do next. So I'm just going to go like that. And then I would continue across. Okay, so that gives me some section squares to work with. And then when I want to start on one of these edges, I could really start anywhere. I could start in this section, this section. If I had more tape, I could start over here. I can go anywhere, but what I'm gonna do is come in with my scissors and just cut a vertical slit right there. That way I can fold this section back, put my cover minder here and work away. Then when I'm finished, I can just place that cover sheet back down. Now, why, you might ask, don't I just cut sections in the clear cover sheet? Well, I'll tell you why. Those clear cover sheets have a mind of their own. So if I cut a section right here, say, and I wanted to keep going, what would happen is I would end up with a jaggedy line. I would have pieces that pull off, that cover small sections of my canvas, and then I'd be like, why won't my drills lay down? Well, it's because that cover sheet does not cut or tear in a straight line. So there's really a lot fewer headaches with this sectioning method, in my opinion. So there you have it, you guys. Those are my tips for dealing with your cover sheets, both clear covers and opaque covers. If I've missed any info that you think newbies would appreciate hearing, please leave your advice in the comments below, or like I said, if there's something I didn't cover, something you have a question about, drop that below as well. Remember to check out Drills and Chills 2021 coming September 1st, 2021. I'll make sure I link the announcement video up in the card so you can find that. If you love Halloween and you love autumn and you want to craft along on some themed projects, that might be a really, really fun event for you. All of the rules, all of the criteria for selecting your canvas are in that video up in the cards. So be sure to check that out. We're also wrapping up Summer with the Masters 2021 really soon. So hopefully you're participating in that. We'll have a wrap-up video and a grand prize drawing coming August 14th. It's right around the corner. I hope you guys have a fantastic week. I hope everything's going well in your world. As always, spread some joy wherever you are, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.